Kaiser Soze, The Usual Suspects is a masterclass in unreliable narration and deceptive storytelling. At its heart, the film centers on the elusive, almost mythical criminal mastermind Kaiser Soze, whose reputation is so legendary that his name alone evokes fear and awe. But like any great villain, Soze is more than just a figurehead. He's a specter, lurking in the shadows, pulling the strings, and controlling every move without ever appearing directly. The film begins with a bang. A burned out boat, 27 dead, and a single survivor, a Hungarian mobster too traumatized to tell his story. Enter Roger Verbalkint, a conman with cerebral palsy who, in a police interrogation, spins a tale that becomes the film's backbone. He recounts the story of how 5 criminals, brought together by a seemingly random lineup, found themselves embroiled in a heist that's far more complicated than any of them could have imagined. Or is it? The brilliance of The Usual Suspects lies in its unreliable narration. You never know who's telling the truth, who's playing who, or whether any of it even matters. The final plot twist leaves you questioning everything, wondering how you didn't see it coming. But that's the magic of The Usual Suspects. It's not just a crime story, it's a well-spun dance of deception, and in the end, Kaiser Soze is the one who's truly in control, leaving you both in awe and horror at the depths of his manipulation. Kaiser Soze wins by completely fooling everyone and walking away free. Aaron Stampler. Primal Fear tells the story of an altar boy named Aaron who is accused of murdering a powerful archbishop. A slick defense attorney, played by Richard Gere, steps in to defend him, uncovering layers of corruption, abuse, and hidden trauma along the way. As the trial unfolds, Aaron appears to be a broken, terrified young man suffering from dissociative identity disorder, an innocent caught in a nightmare far bigger than himself. But the truth? It's far more scary. Throughout the movie, everyone is manipulated, the audience. Aaron's stuttering, shy demeanor hides a far darker truth. In the film's final jaw-dropping twist, it's revealed that Aaron has been faking the whole time. There was no alternate personality, no broken boy. The innocent act was just that, an act. He confesses to his lawyer in a final haunting moment, smiling coldly as the realization sinks in. He played them all. And there's no justice to be found here. The system, the truth, even sympathy itself, they're all twisted into weapons in Aaron's hands. Primal Fear doesn't just pull the rug out from under you, it leaves you sitting there, stunned, questioning everything you just believed. Raymond Lemon. In The Vanishing, the villain isn't some over-the-top scheming mastermind. It's a cold, ordinary man who plays the long game with terrifying patience. The film follows a couple, Rex and Saskia, on a road trip through France. When Saskia mysteriously disappears at a rest stop, Rex is left to unravel the puzzle. His obsessive search for answers consumes him. But here's the twist. It's not just about finding her, it's about understanding why she disappeared. The villain, Raymond, is introduced not as a monster, but as someone who blends into the background, a man with a creepy, calm demeanor. He presents himself as an ordinary family man, but his true nature is monstrous. He's not some cackling villain, he's methodical, calculating, and disturbingly cold. The scariest part? Raymond's motivation isn't greed, revenge, or some grand plan. He wants Rex to understand what it feels like to lose someone completely, and he's willing to guide him every step of the way. When Rex is finally confronted with the truth, the villain wins, leaving Rex with no heroic triumph, just the unbearable weight of a truth he can never undo. The ending is a sucker punch. Rex's need for closure, his obsession with the vanishing, ultimately leads to his own doom, playing right into Raymond's hands. There's no happy ending here. It's not about good versus evil. It's about how far obsession can push a person into despair. Noah Cross. Chinatown is one of those rare films that doesn't just leave you with a sense of despair, it forces you to embrace it. Jake Gittes, a private detective with a tarnished moral compass, takes on a seemingly simple case that spirals into an overwhelming abyss of tragedy and revelation. Gittes starts the investigation into a case of a woman suspecting her husband of infidelity, but as he digs deeper, he uncovers a tangled web of deceit involving the Los Angeles water supply, land deals, and murder. What seems to be a straightforward case of adultery evolves into something far darker. A world where the powerful pull all the strings, and the truth is an elusive, dangerous thing. But the real gut punch comes in the film's closing moments, where the true villain, Noah Cross, reveals the depths of his corruption. He's not just a greedy businessman, he's a monster, responsible for incest, murder, and everything else that's gone wrong in the story. And yet, Chinatown isn't about the villain's defeat. It's about how power, money, and corruption bleed through every facet of life, and how in the end, no one really wins. In the final scene, when Gittes is helpless to stop the tragic fate of Evelyn Mulray, the film's primary female character, and her daughter, the darkness sinks in. Despite all his efforts, Gittes can't save her from her fate. Anton Chigurh. In No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy, the concept of justice is turned upside down and the villain, Anton Chigurh, emerges as an unstoppable force. From the moment he steps onto the scene, Chigurh's presence is suffocating, cold, methodical, and relentless. Unlike your typical antagonist who might be motivated by greed or power, Chigurh is driven by fate itself, believing in the inevitability of death and making it his mission to enforce it. Throughout the novel, Chigurh leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. He's more than just a killer, he's a force of nature, indifferent to the world around him. His weapon of choice, a captive bolt pistol, is as cold and efficient as his personality, symbolizing the senseless violence he brings with him. People who cross his path don't die because they're bad or because they deserve to. They die simply because they were unfortunate enough to be in his way. The sheriff, Ed Tom Bell, spends the entire book searching for a sense of meaning in the chaos, trying to reconcile the violence with the world he knows, but he finds none. He's outmatched, and so is everyone else. Chigurh's cold, methodical approach makes him an almost mythic figure in the novel, a grim reaper of sorts, and in the end, he walks away untouched. There's no grand confrontation, no moment of reckoning. He simply vanishes into the night, a ghost who never had to answer for his actions. Ryo Asuka. The Man Crybaby doesn't just push the boundaries of what an anime can be, it shatters them completely. In this brutal reimagining of Go Nagai's Devilman, the story takes us through the life of Ryo Asuka, an angelic being who becomes the embodiment of Satan, and his apocalyptic battle against humanity. From the moment Ryo's true nature is revealed, the tension builds like a ticking time bomb, and you know, deep down, there's no happy ending coming. The protagonist, Akira Fudo, is caught in the middle of this cosmic war between good and evil. As a Devilman, he's the last hope for humanity, yet he's never fully in control. As the series unfolds, humanity crumbles under the weight of their own sins, driven to madness by the awakening of demons. In the end, Satan wins, but it's a hollow victory. Humanity is obliterated in a violent, soul-crushing climax. The destruction is complete, and as the world is reduced to rubble, we're left with the haunting image of Satan, alone, weeping over the earth he's just annihilated. It's a devastating twist. Satan, having achieved his goal of eradicating humanity, is overcome with sorrow. The weight of his actions, the loss of what he sought to destroy, consumes him. Man Crybaby doesn't just tell the story of good versus evil, it tells the story of the consequences of that battle and the devastating emptiness left behind when the world is lost. Darth Vader. This is the darkest Star Wars chapter where Darth Vader basically wins. In The Empire Strikes Back, the darkness of the galaxy is fully realized, and this time, the villain doesn't just get a few victories, he claims a total triumph. The rebels, who barely escaped the destruction of their last base, are now scattered. Han Solo is frozen in carbonite, a trophy for Jabba the Hutt. Luke Skywalker, having just tapped into the Force to fight Vader, loses not just a battle, but a piece of himself, his hand. And worse, in the novelization's added depth, there's an overwhelming sense of loss that the movie only hints at. Luke's emotional fall after the lightsaber duel is more visceral here, the weight of his defeat sinking in deep as the truth about his parentage begins to unravel in Vader's twisted revelation. This chapter doesn't just destroy hope, it shows how far Vader is willing to go to destroy everything Luke and the rebels stand for. When you read through the novel, the desperation and betrayal echo louder. Every step Luke takes seems to drive him deeper into uncertainty, a far cry from the confident hero of the first film. And while Vader's victory isn't immediate, he's still dealing with his own inner turmoil. The end result is undeniable. He wins, and there's only the looming question: how do you defeat a villain who knows exactly how to break you? John Doe. Seven isn't just a crime thriller, it's a harrowing journey into the dark corners of the human soul. Directed by David Fincher, the film follows two detectives, Somerset and Mills, as they track down a serial killer whose murders are inspired by the 7 deadly sins. The killer, John Doe, is meticulous, calculating, and disturbingly philosophical, using his gruesome crimes as a form of twisted moral instruction. As the film progresses, Doe leaves behind a trail of destruction, each murder more disturbing than the last. But in the film's devastating final act, we discover that Doe's ultimate plan was far more dark than anyone could have imagined. Just when you think justice is within reach, the final victim is revealed, Mills' pregnant wife, Tracy. Doe has sent her severed head in a box to Mills, knowing full well the devastating effect it'll have on him. It's a gut-wrenching moment, especially when Mills realizes she was pregnant, something he didn't even know until the horrific package was opened. The climax of the film comes when Mills, overcome by rage and grief, kills Doe in a moment of brutal vengeance. But despite the death of the killer, there's no satisfaction, no redemption, no real justice. In Seven, the villain doesn't just win, he leaves a lasting scar on everyone involved.